This is week 13 notes solving and graphing one-step inequalities. However, this week we are going to be multiplying and dividing. So if you could please write these steps down to solve, and we will get started. Number 1, 60 is less than or equal to 6n. Okay? Well, as I mentioned last lesson, the process for solving these is very similar to solving equations. In fact, it is pretty much the same. So treat this as an equal sign. There are some situations where you're going to have to do something where you flip this sign, but I'll show you that in just a moment. So we'll treat this just like an equation and solve it. So we'll divide both sides by 6, isolating this variable right here. And then we have 10, and then keep this inequality sign pointed in the same direction. 10 is less than or equal to n. And like I told you, I like writing the variable on the left side. And remember to always keep the side or the side of the sign that's pointing toward the variable right there. So the open sign, the open part of the sign is pointing toward the end, so that means it's going to have to flip. Now this is the solution to the inequality. Now we're going to have to neatly graph our answer. Now this second step right here only applies to situations where you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. And I'll show you what to do in that case. But first we're going to graph. Let's graph this thing off to the side here. So we'll draw a nice straight line, and we'll put 10 on our number line right there. And since this is a greater than or equal to, we are going to make a solid circle right there. And since n is greater than, we shade, or sorry, greater than, we don't shade, but we draw a line to the right because it's greater than or equal to. All right, let's move on to number 2. 32 is greater than or equal to 4a. I'd encourage you to try this on your own. Assuming you tried, we're going to go about solving it the same exact way that we did number 1, dividing both sides by 4. That gives us 8 is greater than or equal to a, and then we're going to flip it around so that the variable is on the left side, but we don't want to forget to flip the sign as well. That pointy part is going toward the a. Now let's draw our line so that we graph it. This is always what you have to do. And we'll put 8 on the number line right here. And then because it is less than or equal to, we are going to have a solid dot again, because it's also equal to 8. But since it's less than now, we're going to draw our line to the left. All right, let's move on to number 3. -9 is less than x divided by 4. All right, in this question, we're going to have to multiply or divide the coefficient. So in this case, the coefficient would be like 1/4. So we're going to have to multiply by 4, both sides. So essentially, we're going to be dividing by 1/4, and it's the same as multiplying by 4. Okay, remember, dividing is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we'll multiply both sides by 4. And then we have -36 over here is less than x. And then we're going to have to flip it, right? Because we want the variable to be on the left side so that we can easily see how to graph it. All right. So -36 will go right here on the number line. Doesn't matter. You You don't need to draw any other numbers. That's totally fine. And since x is greater than it, oops, greater than, not equal to, we're going to draw an open circle at 36, but then a line going to the right. Okay, so number 4, and I actually don't know if I'll be able to do this. So let me get another page. So number 4, we have 6 is less than m divided by 2. Okay. Our first step, assuming you have tried it on your own, is to do the same kind of thing. Multiply both sides by this denominator right here. Then we got 12 is less than, and then those 2's cancel, m. And then we're going to write that on the left side, remembering to flip the sign. And once we draw it, we've got 12 right here. And since it is greater than and not equal to, we're going to keep our circle open right at 12. And since m is greater than, we're going to draw this arrow to the right. This pink arrow really represents what m is, okay? It represents what m is. In this case, this represents what x was. So it's very important that you see that. M is not one value in this, it's multiple values. All things greater than 12. All right, number 5. Now we have negative 2p is less than or equal to 8. So we're going to now do the same type of thing. This is a different kind of problem though, because we have to divide out the negative 2 from here, and then we'll divide out the negative 2 on the other side. Now here's the very important rule that you must know, that when you divide by a negative within an inequality like this, you have to flip the sign. So not just flip the side that the variable's on, but actually flip the sign. So let me show you what I mean. So we'll take that negative 2, we'll divide it out, and we'll have p over there, and then we'll have what over here, negative 4. But now p is still on the left side, yet we have to take this less than or equal to and make it a greater than or equal to. That is very important. If you don't do that, you'll get it wrong. And so again, why did we do that? Because we divided both sides by a negative. And the same thing would happen if you multiplied both sides by a negative. So let's graph this now. P is greater than or equal to negative 4. So here's negative 4. And here's your closed circle. And because it's greater than negative 4, it's going to go to the right. This is P right here. Okay? Everything greater than or equal to negative 4. All right, moving on to number 6. Try and save myself some room here so I don't have to make another page. We have 30 is less than negative 10k. I'd encourage you to try this on your own. Assuming you've tried it, we're going to divide both sides by a negative 10. But what does that mean? We must flip the sign. So we have negative 3 here. We have k here. And sign must flip. Now also, I want to put the k on the other side, so I guess we're going to have to flip it back. So we'll put that k on the other side, right? Because k is still less than negative 3. This is exactly the same, okay? But that is our answer, and then we're going to draw our line here. And then we have negative 3 here, and then because it is just less than, we put an open circle at negative 3, and we draw our line this away. And that is k right there. That blue line represents k. All right, number 7. Negative 20 is less than 2a. Try this on your own. Okay, we first divide by 2, then we have negative 10. Here's the thing. Do we flip the sign? We have a negative right here, so maybe you think, yeah, we should flip the sign. But the answer is no, we shouldn't. Why? Because we didn't divide by a negative. If we divided by a negative, like if this was negative 2 that we divided by, then yes, we would flip the sign, but it's not, so we don't. We just leave it as is. But I do want to put this a on the other side, so we are going to end up flipping it that way. However, this and that are exactly the same. So that's our answer, and now we draw our line. We have negative 10 here, and then we have an open circle because it's just greater than negative 10, and then we draw our line. Let's do one more. Number 8. K over 5 is greater than, or excuse me, that's less than or equal to negative 7. Try this on your own, please. Assuming you have. What we have to do is isolate this k. So we're going to have to get this 5 off the denominator. You know what to do. Multiply both sides by 5. 5's cancel here. K is now by itself. Now, we have k is less than or equal to, and what is this? Negative 35. Okay? Now again, we have a negative over here, but we didn't multiply both sides by a negative. If we multiplied both sides by a negative, we would have had to flip this, but we don't, and k is on the left side, so that means we can just graph our answer because we have it. So negative 35 is right here. K is also equal to negative 35, so we'll put a solid dot. Oops, let me do a different color. Solid dot right there. And then it's less than, so that means it's going to go to the left, and that is what k is, all the values of k, and we're done.